Hi Leo, this is your August 2015 horoscope with me, Lada from astrolada.com, for everyone who have their ascendant, sun or moon in Leo. And you can find out if you have ascendant, sun or moon in Leo from my birth chart calculator. You need to know your time of birth to have those correct, and go to the planetary detail table and check the first three, ascendant, sun, moon. Are they in Leo? So what's happening for Leo? My God, such a happening month for Leo. It's like the start of your new personal year for the next 12 months. This is when you're laying the foundations for the next 12 months for your life. This is where you're getting the new ideas. This is when the universe is sending you flashes of inspiration. This is when you're getting revitalized and coming back to the scene, especially if you're born in August, if you're Leo's sun or even Leo's ascendant, you kind of come out again. You kind of start a mini period for starting new things for initiating new projects. So if you've been trying for a long time to gather the energy to start something new or the courage, now will be the time. You're very proactive and initiative because the Sun and Mars, the two masculine planets, are in your sign, Leo. They're making you move forward. They're making you, get up and go, do. And if you haven't had energy in July, or to be more active, you may probably have to rest a bit more now in August, even from the last 10 days in July, but particularly in August, you kind of get reborn, like the bird phoenix bird, and you kind of start getting great ideas. Every time I have my birthday, around my birthday, I get my best ideas. And even if I don't start them immediately, I work on them over the next 12 months. And this is what you'll be doing as well, Leo. You'll get those flashes of inspiration in August. Write them down. This is your personal new year. When on New Year's Eve people make a wish list or whatever, what they're going to change in your life, it usually doesn't work. You have to do it around your birthday. And do it on the day of your birthday if you can. Write down what you want to achieve in the next 12 months, because the energy of intent is 10 times more powerful when the sun is in your sign, because the sun is, and Mars basically the planet of willpower, and the sun is the planet of setting the intentions, of revitalizing yourself. So do it then, because it will vibrate much stronger with you throughout the next 12 months, and you have, and if possible, even start the first steps in that. Whether it's you want to build a house, or whether it's you want to write a book, or just make the first step, in August. And you have the kind of the desire and the drive. The planets will help you to follow it through. Okay, but let's see a big thing that's happening. You might be feeling a bit tense, overwhelmed. It's very happening time for you, Leos. But let's see what's the big thing. Venus is retrograde in your sign. This happens rarely. Last time this happened was 8 years ago, in the summer of 2007. If you're living in the northern hemisphere, it was the summer. In the southern, it was the winter. So what happened? Think back, 2007 in the summer. Well, some similar things can repeat, but much easier, because 2007 Saturn was also in your sign, which is like the planet of testing and karma and giving you difficulties. But now it's way more positive. Now you have Jupiter, the blessed planet, and Venus in your sign. So it's going to be something that hurt you 8 years ago, because that was Saturn. Saturn creates hurts and Saturn creates damages. 8 or even 16 years ago, when Venus was again retrograde in your sign, Leo, because it has a cycle of 8 years, Venus. Think back to 8 years back, or 16 years back, or even 24 years back, if you can remember. Something that could have happened around that time, plus maybe a year or less. You have a chance now to heal it, because Venus gets retrograde. So something from the past comes to be re-evaluated, seen from a different perspective, because when Venus moves backwards, you get a different perspective. Venus is the planet of evaluation and seeing matters from different angles. And when it goes retrograde, something that hurt you, and especially in regards to love and relationships and self-worth, because Venus rules all those things: love, relationships, socializing, your social life, and self-worth. And the self-worth might even affect you in regards to some financial matters, because if you have low self-worth, you block your financial success as well. But something that happened there, especially in those lines, can be seen from a different perspective, relieved which can create a bit of a tension, a bit of like you chewing on some old mattress, which can feel painful at first. You know, like when psychologists put people under hypnosis to relieve the past, or they bring them back, it's painful. All this pain starts coming back to the surface, but it's like a healing crisis, and this bubble can burst. This bubble of basically of the toxicity and the pain from the past can burst, and at the same time, you know, you have a great chance. Yeah, you can pass. Yeah, just around there. Sorry, it's sorry. And what happens is that during this, sorry guys, we'll continue in a second. And so basically, this kind of old pains can be relieved. That might feel a bit painful initially, but they can be released as well, because you know, when we feel something, we can let it go with a release, because we see it from a different, and we're able to forgive, because Venus is a very forgiving, compassionate planet. It's as if you have a realization in regards to relationships that kind of makes you see matters like, yes, that's why he hurt me or she hurt me, because they themselves were conflicted, or maybe even someone from the past, a relationship from the past, or a person from the past which you haven't been able to fully let go of, or haven't healed fully, will come. When someone comes, when there is a retrograde planet, these people come so you can heal this wound and let them go. Or if they're actually healthy for you now, if they've changed, you can actually reconnect fully. But the letting go doesn't happen by this person hurting you again. It happens by you realizing, I'm above that. I forgive you, you know, I realize why the problem is. I realize why you hurt me so much, and why you were so, because you were hurt yourself or whatever, you know. And that's, you know, that can be extremely healing. And you might not immediately see the result of that. Maybe around September and October, when Venus is moving already forward, you're gonna, you know, realize how healing the spirit, how enlightening and life-changing has been. And Venus also rules anything that we are attached to on the physical, sensual world. It might be sensual pleasures, food, and for you, all the themes of Venus will be very powerful, because it's happening the retrograde in your first house. It's you. So any kind of unhealthy relationships with food or self-soothing habits can be transformed for you now, Leos. It's like Venus is retrograde for 40 days. And you know, in all the esoteric texts, 40 days is the time it takes for a person to get enlightened or new habits to set in. So Buddha was under the Bodhi tree for 40 days before he got enlightened, before he manifested in a different state of consciousness. Jesus Christ was for 40 days in the desert, being tested, before and you know, rejecting the worldly pleasures, before he received the next initiation, and before, you know, he went to the next level. So definitely the ancient people knew that 40 days, the period of Venus retrograde, is a period when we can retrieve from the world in some way, where we can have a total, and we don't have to do it like literally going into the wilderness. It can happen psychologically within us, that we have a transformation psychologically, because we reevaluate, we re-examine, we kind of, and we decide to say no or yes to healthier patterns, or no to unhealthier. Because Venus is how we self-soothe, how we, and we usually self-soothe by addictive attachments to worldly pleasures. It can be to food, it can be to sex, it can be to relationships. Venus rules all those things. It can be to shopping, it can be to possessions. Self-soothing, like eating a biscuit or going shopping, or you know, or it might be like addiction to watching TV, because Venus is all this entertainment, amusement, all the captures of all the entrapments of the material, physical, sensual world, whether it's a good ice cream or a good shag or a good, you know, dress. All these things that we get distracted, so we don't go inwards. And when we feel like we need to calm down, we go and do those Venus things, which are, when Venus is moving forwards, we usually do, you know, you do them by those outer things, outer material things. But when Venus starts moving backwards, it gets introverted, and you go within to find ways to soothe yourself. And especially if you're more spiritually aware, oh, you'll feel it. This will be a time for self-healing and for finding something that is self-healing without the need of external, sensual, physical, material relationship ways. So it gives you such a tremendous opportunity to receive liberation from something that has been addictive in your life, or something that unhealthy way of self-soothing yourself, of rewarding yourself. And that's why, you know, Jesus Christ was 40 days in the wilderness without food or anything, because he wanted to deny the world. A similar alchemical process will be happening for you, Leos. You might not be fully aware of it, but it will be happening at some level with certain matters of those Venusian things that I mentioned. And by the end of it, in September, October, you'd have released yourself from something unhealthy of self-soothing, and usually might be even a relationship which is not rewarding, which does not give you the same amount of love that you put in it. And you can let it go, you know, because you see it from a different perspective. And if you're a bit more spiritually dim-witted, like I am, like I don't feel influences too much, it's like the universe has to take it from me with force, you know. I remember 7 years ago, or 8 years, when Venus was retrograde again in Leo. That's where my moon is. I had an emotional relationship that I reevaluated it, and I finally let it go, you know, after many years of being there. But it wasn't, you know, it kind of was painful, but I knew it was the right thing, and I loved myself much more after that. And it was a relationship that had started 8 years before that, on the previous, you know, cycle. And anyway, but some similar themes can be happening for you, Leos. And it doesn't always have to be relationship. I mean, I told you that it's any way of self-soothing, or outer material addictive attachment to worldly things, which is maybe is blocking you, and it's outdated, and it's not so helpful anymore. It's not helping you self-soothe so healthily anymore. And also it might be like some kind of amusements or creative talents from the past coming for you to be re-examined, to be deepened, or even some creative project, because Venus is creativity, art, that is being re-evaluated, that you're putting more effort into. When a planet is retrograde, you put more effort into those things, because they require to be done 2 or 3 times before they give results. But always when you put more effort in something, the results are more fulfilling, lasting, and better. But you might feel a bit frustrated, because when Venus is retrograde, you have to redo certain things. And you might feel a bit like failure, whether it's like redo some creative project, if you're working with women in some level, something artistic, creative, some fashion industry, if you're working in something to do with Venus with women, if you're working in something to do, I don't know, Venus rules so many things, you know. And you might have to redo it a few times, but believe me, by September, October, the results will be better. So even if it's a bit frustrating, the final result is always more satisfying. But if certain relationships have to be let go of, you'll feel definitely healthier. But if you can re-examine, you can now realize who is an important person in your life, who really loves you and who really respects you, because you're in this more introspective mode. You're going within to find the truth. And when you find this, you might realize that you've not been paying enough attention to certain other person who is more worthy of your love. Or maybe you've been too busy with work, or your marriage has been going south, or your relationship has been, you haven't had time to pay to a partner, and now you have a time to realize, wow, this relationship is very good, is very supportive. I want to deepen it. So on the positive level, if you're in a good relationship, this is when deeper commitments can happen. This is when people can decide to get engaged. If you're Leo ascendant on the moon, when they decide to really put more effort in their relationship, when they really reconnect with the love, when they really find what is truthful and healthy in regards to relationships for them. And actually, if you've met someone recently, you can have the chance to deepen that relationship, you know, especially if the relationship is good. If it's not good, you'll be reassessing it and having to tweak something in the relationship, having to change something in your lifestyle in order for this relationship to continue, because you won't be satisfied otherwise, or it has to end if you don't do those changes. But if it's a good relationship, you are taking it to the next level. And if you've healed emotional pains in regards to self-worth, then you can bring you a very deep relationships, a love relationship that happens right now. So stay tuned, you know. Also, so many things. Like, this is such an important year for you. It's such an important month in August, and but you see the results in September and October, Leos, as I said. Another important thing, let's see, we talked about relationship, we talk about attitude towards material possessions, which is Venus, which is any kind of physical, tangible resources that can be changed. But usually when Venus gets retrograde in your sign, a big lifestyle change happens, and it's a decision you took consciously, a decision either to live healthily, a decision either to nurture, because Venus is about showing yourself self-love. So you reevaluate how you're showing yourself self-love, and you decide now to show yourself more self-love, either by eating the right food, better food, by doing the right exercises, by eliminating certain toxic environments, by maybe starting some hobbies, starting some creative things, maybe by taking a bath every day, giving yourself anything which brings you more self-worth and self-love, which is not dependent on outer things, which is not dependent your self-love. If your self-love and how much you love yourself is dependent on how much others give you love, you know, or how much money you make, or how much beautiful shoes you have, or you know. So this is such a great opportunity to, you know, to find more self-love and to express self-love through more healthier ways, which are not dependent on outer resources or people. And when you do that, you see such a transformation, and you stay committed. When you do it during Venus retrograde, you stay committed. It's a lifetime change, you know, it's like a lifestyle change forever, for many years. And when you do this, you see how your whole relationships with others transform, because you love yourself more and others show you more respect. You start making more money, you unlock blockages because you have more self-worth, you're taking better care of yourself, you're showing more self-love by the right ways, not by drinking, eating, you know, sugary, getting drunk, sleeping around, because this is how you receive, how you think like you're happy from time to time, and you receive self-love, but it's not. It's dependent on another's approval or some outer substance, rather than meditation or working out, or, you know, the healthy ways. Anyway, so expect such matters to be very prominent for you. Okay, so next thing, what is happening as well? Such an important time. I mean, wow. And interestingly enough, when last year, 8 years ago, when I had Venus retrograde over my moon, it's also fertile period. If you're Venus retrograde over Sun, Ascendant, or Moon, you can get pregnant. So be careful. Venus becomes very strong. Any kind of creative projects, they have intensified, they deepen. You're required to work hard on them. Relationships with women, they might be like you're reevaluating certain relationships with females in your life. And your self-love, of course. Also, I broke up with someone, and when Venus turned direct, we got back together. So there are certain things that can happen during Venus retrograde, like certain adjustments and changes, because you have to change something in your love life, in your relationships, because it's how you're showing yourself self-love. And someone else might break up with you, but then come back together because it's Venus retrograde, someone from the past coming back. Anyway, let's see what else is happening. This month starts with a bit of a hard aspect between Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter is in your first house and Saturn is in your fourth house of family. And because the aspect is a bit tight, there might be certain responsibilities with family which are cramping your styles, or which are putting pressure on you, which are stressing you a bit more, or some emotional issue, fourth house, or some issue with home, property, family, that is a bit of stressing you, but pushing you to expand and look for other opportunities. Because Jupiter is in your first house as well. Or having to take initiative in order to sort out certain fourth house matters, which is emotional, family, relationships with family. Anyway, but Jupiter is moving from your sign, Leo. And actually those Leos who are born in the last few days, from around the 19th to around the 23rd, 24th of August, so, you know, the last 4 or 5 days, they're having Jupiter transiting their Sun. Or if you have your Ascendant or Moon from 26 to 30 degrees, the last 4 degrees of Leo, they're feeling Jupiter transiting their Sun, Ascendant or Moon in August, opportunities opening, something good happening, their confidence improving, doors, green light. You have the green light for any activities which are about expansion, growth, travel, foreign travel, higher education, getting new, even relationships, which is, you know, the last 4 degrees of Leo are very fortunate in August. This is your time to blossom, to expand, to grow. But Jupiter moves into your second house. So for the next year, 12 months, you have an opportunity to expand in regards to financial matters. So I'm giving you a glimpse into the next 12 months. You'll have an opportunity to expand your resources. You'll have an opportunity to grow your financial and material security. And it won't be without you putting some effort, because Saturn is also making an aspect to Jupiter for the next 12 months. So it will be a bit like a stop and go, but you're having the goal light as well. So Saturn requires hard work, and Saturn will be in your 6th house. Is it the 6th house? No, it will be in your 5th house, Leos, and Jupiter in your 2nd house. So certain expenses over the next 12 months in regards to certain creative hobby you can turn into a career, and this can expand, but you have to work very hard. Certain hobby can turn into a career, can turn into a profitable business, which can increase your finances, or because of your children or loved ones, you might want to expand your resources to a more stable, because 5th house rules children, so they give you pressure, or rules your romantic life. So maybe because you want to impress someone, and because of that you feel inspired to increase your finances, you know, maybe because your children need better school fee, or, you know, better, so that's why you push yourself to achieve financially, or because you just want to grow creatively, you feel inspired, and, you know, inspiration pushes you to expand financially, and also, you know, create some issues that push you in that direction, and can help you also with self-worth, because 2nd house shows how much you value yourself. 2nd house is like Venus, so in the next 12 months you have like a mini Venus retrograde in the 1st house, in a sense, because with Jupiter in the 2nd, it's like you expanding your sense of self-worth, which, because of that, because you expand it, it attracts to you new opportunities financially. Thank you very much, Leo, and I'll see you next month. And subscribe to my channel.